Yeah, thanks a lot, and thanks to all of the witnesses. And I just really have one question, and maybe I don't care what order necessarily going. Maybe start with Ms. Kagan, but one of the most common concerns that I hear from homeowners and the other stakeholders on this issue of NFIP reauthorization is really the need to ensure that there's not a penalty for a homeowner transferring between the government programs or NFIP programs and private flood insurance. And I'm just wondering if you could first of all give a basic opinion, but a rationale for that.
The city's view is that everybody should have coverage, whether it's coming from the NFIP or the private sector. So we would certainly encourage everyone to maintain coverage, whether you're switching to the public program or you're going to private insurance, because at the end of the day, we want people protected.
Sure.
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Senator, so a lot of the implementation of Biggert Waters allowing private flood to satisfy the mandatory purchase requirement has been accomplished in the last few years by lending regulators. But this is one area that Congress could still provide clarity that if you leave the NFIP, go to a private insurer, and then want to return to the NFIP later, maybe the private insurer you went to leaves the market. Maybe they raise rates significantly, that you could still get the rate you would have gotten as if you had not left in the first place. And I think that that's a valuable thing that Congress could provide as clarity. It also would help the private market. It would help both the private market and the NFIP, because the private market needs to attract people. And that is a concern people would have about buying private flood is it a one-way street and I can't go back?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Others, Mr. Ellis, or?
Yes, thank you very much, Senator Cramer. No, absolutely. Not surprisingly, I agree with Mr. Lehman, but that, yes, you want to have that portability. I mean, the only reason why somebody would leave the NFIP is that they have a better product or better price or both. But you want to make sure that then there's confidence that, okay, I'm sticking my toe into the water. I want to make sure that if I do want to go back to the NFIP, it's available. And so I think that will actually foster more people getting coverage, which is really what the whole goal should be, is that more Americans get flood insurance coverage. As I pointed out in my testimony, only 5 million policies. We have well over 100 million housing units. We've heard repeatedly about flooding that occurs outside of the mandatory purchase areas. And so this is an area where we want to see more people get coverage. And the way you're going to do that is if the people are starting to buy their insurance from a Geico, or they're buying it from Mayhem, or they're buying it from Flow.
Sure.
Yes, Senator, if I could
Please.
add to that the continuous coverage provision is one we know that there's a desire to do, but one of the things I think that we elaborate on in our testimony is we need to, based on the principle of fairness between the NFIP and private insurers, and there's in the changes in 2012 and 2014, there are a couple of additional changes that are needed to make sure the NFIP is actually on a level playing field with private. For example, we've long proposed this concept of an equivalency fee that's equal to the national policy fee to help pay for floodplain management and mapping. The mapping, even for private policies, delineates where you have to buy flood insurance. It inherently is helpful to private industry. Also, we need to make sure that communities aren't dropping out of the program because they know private flood is available. And then finally, we need to address the discretionary acceptance loophole, I guess is what I'll call it, a rule that the regulators passed in 2019 that quite honestly runs totally contradictory to what Congress directed in terms of private policies. Thank you.
Yep, well said. Thank you. If that's it, that's good with me, Mr. Chairman.